This episode is sponsored by City of Stars. Head over to shopcityofstars.com and use code podcast15 to get 15% off your order. Hello, welcome to the Achievers Podcast, the podcast where we hear the stories of people who have made their dream a reality. I'm Logan Fairbrother and I have Jack Watkinson.
Hello.
And in today's episode, we are with special guest David Norec.
Hello.
So, David, would you like to tell us a bit about your story and Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of cool how you with the Achievers Podcast, how you put in there that you stories of people who have made their dream a reality, but sometimes it actually takes a nightmare for a dream to get started and for it to become a reality. And so I guess my nightmare started in 2013 when I got a phone call that my brother had passed away from diabetes. And the very following year in 2014, got another call, that my sister had also passed away from diabetes. And I had seen both of them go from healthy individuals to just, having to go amputations and just having to be sick all the time. And so it was through that nightmare, though, that I was inspired to write a children's book called The Adventures of Exo and Psi, which is a play on the word exercise, and which actually gives kids and kids of all ages, an exercise workout as they read the book. And so
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I did. I read the that version you gave me, and I found it really cool how you put the words together as play on words.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I mean I think that's the basis of this book, and that's the play on words with Exo and Psi with exercise. They live in OB City, which stands for obesity. Mayor Diane Beatties for diabetes. The first book has Chip and Nacho as the bad guys, and they represent potato chips. And then one of the good guys, but we won't know until the final book, is Chief Will Ness, which stands for wellness, which is actually being healthy. And I've gotten a lot of tips on new characters along the way as I've done presentations to schools. One of the kids gave me an idea to use twins, Brock and Lee, to stand for broccoli.
That's good. That's
a good one.
So that brings me to this question. So obviously you mentioned that you're making the last. So are you making a second book onto the first one?
Yeah, the plan right now is to do 7 books.
Oh, really?
The first one is called The Adventures of Exo and Psi. Now the second one, I have a daughter, and she's lovely, and so
that's sweet.
I don't want to leave girls out of this. So the next book will be called Adventures of Arrow and her cat Bix. So Arrow and Bix, aerobics.
Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
So they're going to alternate. We're going to alternate books: Exo and Psi, then Arrow and Bix, then Exo and Psi, then Arrow and Bix, until they finally meet each other in the final book and finally defeat Mayor Diane Beatties.
That sounds like a great storyline.
That's
Thank
insane.
you.
So, how was it you came across to actually writing books?
I was an English teacher before, and I always thought I would write a book, but I was thinking more like of a novel. And so, just going back to the way I started with, just the nightmare of having my brother and sister pass away from diabetes.
Yeah.
That gave me the inspiration to write a children's book. I never thought I would write a children's book, but the idea just came to me, and and I've been just going along with that idea ever since.
So I've actually been wondering this myself. How long did it take to write that book?
That's a great question. For me to actually write it, it took me about 6 months, and it was just going back and forth. I would write something, and I would sleep on it, wake up, and maybe I didn't like what I wrote. So it took me about 6 months. What took a long time was actually finding an illustrator. I didn't do the illustrations. Finding an illustrator, and it took him a year and a half to actually do the illustration. So together, about 2 years. 2 years to go from the very beginning to actually having a published book.
Wow.
Wow, that must have took a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it did.
Right, here's another question. So we've got these 2 characters, Exo and Psi. What can we expect from them 2 characters in the future?
Well, they're going to be sticking around. I have a ton of ideas. Every book is going to start with them playing a different sport, just likewise with Arrow and Bix. And so, I mean, I just want to, show kids that it's good to be outside and exercising, playing different sports rather than just being inside all the time. And also eating
Yeah,
healthy. I don't want
definitely.
kids to have to go through what my family's had to go through with diabetes, and specifically type 2 diabetes. I know type 1, that's something you're born with, and that's still a very big challenge. And, I just want to show kids that there's hope out there. And so hopefully these characters will bring hope to kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, that shows a really good point, you see, because there's a lot of people who are into their gaming and that side of things.
exactly.
And a lot of them don't notice that they should really be getting outside and getting some fresh air as it's more healthier for them.
Absolutely.
And
So as a type 1 diabetic, I think, like, obviously that's very important that you need to be getting exercise, because obviously it's different from type 2, but like still you still need exercise. And I've noticed if I'm doing exercise, my bloods are a lot better than if I'm sitting inside.
yeah,
Wow.
And I think the way you've wrote your book, it's like it's not just plain words on it. It's like you can actually get involved with it, and I think a lot of kids will and have.
yeah, because it's like the thing with a book compared to something like a movie. A book can, if you get into the book, it really reaches out at you,
Yeah,
and you fully get involved, like you're in that book, and it like inspires you to go on and do what this book says.
Yeah, and it's something I've called actually fit lit, combining fitness and literature.
yeah,
And I actually wouldn't mind seeing it. I've thought about eventually being a cartoon on TV where kids can actually watch it but do the exercises there at
yeah,
home. So that would be, a pretty cool way to combine both, you know,
That would be
TV or
amazing
movies, and yeah, that would be really cool.
because you're looking. Go back to when you're, especially Logan. You might have like remember this.
mhm,
When you're like watching the type of TV programs when you're younger, like CBeebies and
yeah,
these Nickelodeon type things, and you get involved with everything, and it's kind
yeah.
of your mind goes into that
That's true.
like cartoon.
Especially with like the youth today, it's just we need to start telling like younger kids to not like change their ways, but just to like do a little bit more exercise, spend more time with family, just to make them open their eyes a little bit younger.
Yeah,
You know what? And that is really cool because one of the things that we're doing that we're going to launch is taking this book and putting it in parks and
Oh,
having
really?
different pages of the book be in different stations of the park. And then when they get
That
to
is
an
cool.
exercise,
wow.
as a family, not only can they read a book, but they
Yeah,
can do the exercises together and spend time together. So
yeah,
that's something that's really important too.
That
yeah,
sounds amazing because you think about it when, especially as a young person, if you go into a park, you want to be getting involved with everything there. Like you always have that,
yeah,
like adventure style type thing,
Yeah.
and also adding that little like story to it gets them interested, and it'll drag
yeah.
them
And it's a
on
great
to
way for
doing
like
things.
families to get together.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then where I live in McAllen, Texas, we are actually 3 years in a row. We have the very bad distinction of being the unhealthiest or fattest city in the United States of America. It's
Oh,
horrible,
really?
wow.
horrible. Yeah,
So hopefully this book can inspire people to get fitter and make a change.
exactly. Change how they eat and how they exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like incredible what you've done, and I think that's one of the reasons you're on this, because to me, you're like it's successful.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that. It's I, that's a big word. Successful, and
Yeah,
how do you define success? If for me, it's if I can hopefully inspire one kid to change his eating habits and his exercise habits, and maybe
yeah,
later on in life, keep him away from something like type 2 diabetes. That would be so awesome. I mean, for me, that would be successful. Not
yeah,
necessarily making $1 billion or anything like that. That would be nice, but You know, whatever it is, exactly, just to be successful, just changing one life would be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question here, and I just want to see if you agree with this. There's a lot of people say like the way of life and like the way of being successful are different things, but there's one that came across to me, and it was being happy with what you're with,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being happy in life and being successful can be just be happiness. And if you're not happy, you're probably not where you need to be, and you should probably make a change. How far do you agree with that?
No, I mean, I completely agree with that. I think, I mean, there's so many people that are out there working and they hate it. And, they look back in their lives and they're going to say, no, I wasn't successful. But then you see guys who are happily
Yeah.
doing something. And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. That is being successful. You guys, as young as you guys are so successful with what you're doing, even with this podcast and
Thank you.
doing what you guys are doing. There's so many people your age and older that would never even consider to do something like this. And so, don't
Yeah.
ever let anybody tell you you're not successful, because you guys are ultimately successful.
It means a
Thank
lot.
you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So, if people listening to this wanted to support you, is there any way they can?
Yeah, they can go to davidnorec.com. They can reach me there, and any way I can help out. I mean, I'm open to anything. They can reach out to purchase a book there. One thing
Yeah.
I do want to do that I've always wanted to do, because I don't think it's about necessarily making money, although that is, an important part.
Yeah.
I want to be able to give them the free ebook.
Yeah.
I want anybody that wants to read that, they can have it for free and do the exercises. And we've also done a YouTube video. I was able to get together
I
with
think I've
a
seen that
fitness
one.
instructor,
Yeah.
so that she did all the exercises or the exercises as I read the book. And that's really
Yeah.
cool. They can watch that on YouTube and just search up Adventures of Exo and Psi, and you'll get it on YouTube.
Yeah. So, if someone wanted to, is your book available on your website?
It is. I'm still working on the e-commerce part of it. And
Yeah.
again, the book is also available on Amazon as far as the
Yeah.
ebook, but I want to give that for free. Anybody who just
Yeah.
messages me, I'll get that to them any way I can.
Yeah.
That's great. Uh, so I hate to bring times on you, but when do you reckon about your next book will be probably produced or released?
Yeah, I do. I love that question because I believe November worldwide is Diabetes Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And my sister, who passed away from diabetes, her birthday was on November 17th. So
Hmm.
I've made it a
Hmm.
point to release every new book on November 17th, not only to
Yeah.
honor her, but to honor Diabetes Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's incredible.
We've probably spoke about it a bit in this podcast, as we've probably heard. But what's like the kind of message you're trying to spread to everybody out there? Like, if there's one main message in your story.
Yeah, and I guess for these specific books, it would be just to eat right, stay healthy,
Yeah.
and to exercise. Again, I don't want anybody to have to go through what me and my family have had to go through. I don't,
Yeah.
my mom, your parents should never have to bury their children, and my mom has had to do that twice in the last few years.
Wow.
So if somebody can be impacted by reading the book and changing their lives, that's really the message, is to be
Yeah.
healthy and be there for our kids.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Uh
Through the process of writing Exo and Psi, did you learn anything across the way?
huh. Yeah, I learned patience, um,
Yeah.
because everybody I talked to in the beginning, they thought it was an awesome idea.
Hmm.
And then I learned I had to wait almost 2 years to finally be able to
Yeah.
print a book. And it's been a long process. And if there's one thing I learned, it is patience. But along with that, that once it's completed and once I put it out there, people from what they've told me have been very inspired by the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that's just a very inspiring story. Like, you've obviously lost family members, and all that, and you've pushed through it, and you've managed to make this one incredible book that you're gonna be carrying on with and making even more of. And it's just so inspiring to hear that, like from a viewer's point of view.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I can't remember how we like started talking, David. I can't actually remember, but ever since I've been so inspired by you that I've always wanted to work with you to do something to spread awareness for diabetes. Because obviously I'm type 1 and you're type 2, but obviously it's diabetes. So, and knowing what we have to go through, it's like I don't want anyone else to have to go through that alone.
Yeah, and it was through Instagram, and honestly, you say that you were inspired by me, but Logan, honestly, it's the other way around. I've, watching what somebody like you at such a young age is doing, and it inspires me to keep going and to know that there are people that are fighting alongside with me, and that's amazing what you've been doing.
Yeah, thank you.
I agree with David. You both of you are so inspiring, and I met Logan about a year or two ago, and I've got to know his story and things like that, and what he's been through, and everything he has to go through with his type 1 diabetes. And it's a very inspiring story, and especially with this book, David, it raises so much awareness to people, and it can change everything for the good.
I hope so. I really hope so.
And that's like, I wanted to do this podcast to spread awareness of your book. It wasn't because we couldn't find anyone for the podcast. We wanted to do it to spread awareness to this book as much as possible and try and get you out there as much as possible over in the UK as well.
I appreciate it. I can't wait till all this COVID craziness ends and I can travel over there and spread it myself. I'm translating it into Spanish as we speak. Wow. And so, I want to try I want the book honestly translated to every language possible, and me just to go out there and spread the word.
Yeah,
I reckon once COVID's done and you can get this all over the world, this will go. I reckon this is what everyone will want, all the kids, all even maybe adults and things, like just to get that little sense of what's going on and how they can change everything. It just proves that point that you can.
Yeah, because when I read your book, even on like ebook, it doesn't matter, it's still the book. So when I read it, my first reaction was wow. Just wow. You can see how much effort has been put into that to try and get that message across to people, and like nothing, you can see that nothing's been rushed, and it's just inspiring.
Oh, thank you guys. I really do appreciate that. And honestly, I've been, like I said, Logan, you've inspired me, and Jack, I've just met you, but from what I've read, you're an amazing kickboxer. Am I
right? I've done it for 9 years. I'm hoping that'll be quite good.
Well, and so, people who inspire me, I always want to be able to somehow put them in my next books. And so I've been honestly trying to figure out how to get a character off of Logan and now one off of you. And I know my character, Jack, is going to be a kickboxer. So I just need to figure out a name, like a cool name, and the one with Logan as well. And because you guys have been inspiring to me as well.
That means a lot.
I know, it means a lot, like a lot.
You guys are going to be in a book.
Yeah, wow.
I know. That's incredible.
That's absolutely blown my mind.
I know.
So have you got anything to say or any questions, David?
No, I mean, it's just I've done a few podcasts, a few video podcasts as well, and it's just amazing the people I get to meet now and to to talk to, and again, I mean, I'm honestly embarrassed that you guys at such a young age are doing so much. At your age, I wasn't doing not even a tenth of what you guys are doing, and but you know what? I think we all have our own time when and things that we're pushed to do, and I know this is the first podcast for you guys, but I know there's gonna be plenty, and
we actually, as a little fun fact, we kind of we came up with this idea, I'd say probably around August last year.
Yeah.
And for it to actually become a reality now is just amazing. Like with that book, like we've made the podcast here, but with your book, it must have been such an accomplishment for you to actually release it.
Yeah, it was, and I thank you for that. And just to what you're saying, you know what, the hardest step is the first one, and you guys have already taken it now. And man, I can't wait to see how, you know, your podcast is going to explode, and you guys are going to be just uber successful.
Can I just say, I'm so like happy with myself that we've got David Norec as our first ever podcast episode.
So I'm so happy about it as well. This last week, I've not stopped thinking about this podcast, and obviously David Norec, and I've been looking through things about you, and I've saw little bits about the book. I'm going to read the full thing after this podcast. And
nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've gone low. That's not very helpful.
So, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been a great journey. It's been up. It has its ups and downs, but it's been really, really cool. I know with me, COVID, once March of 2020, most of the schools shut down over here, and I couldn't go visit any schools in person anymore. I've done a few virtual visits. It's not the same, but still. But yeah, this whole process, it has its ups and downs, but ultimately it has its ups.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you. Sorry. I was going to ask you. So when you were in the process of writing Exo Inside, did you have like any setbacks or any problems while writing it?
Yeah, I think it was just inside myself. I wasn't confident, even though a lot of my friends and family, they said the idea was great. You know, you still, it's hard to believe in yourself sometimes. And so there were a lot of days and nights where I just doubted whether this was going to happen. And I really didn't feel that confident until I had the first physical book that I could hold in my hands. And after that, I was like, wow, like, you know, I can't believe I have a children's book. I wrote a book and it's published now. It's in my hands. And yeah, but yeah, road has been rocky sometimes.
Yeah. It's always a rocky road. It's like with the kickboxing also. It's like it all rounds up to kind of the same thing. It's like you have to go through months of training before you can actually have like a proper fight. And if that fight pays off and you win, it's like you've got that like sense that like you've won and you've got that little trophy. It's like with the book, you go through your ups and downs and you carry on through anything that's going on. And once you've got that book in your hand, it's like you've got that kind of trophy, and like that sense of like I've won, I've got this, and this is mine. I have won it.
Yeah,
and show your story.
And then with your kickboxing analogy, you know, I mean, when you get knocked down, when you know, have your first defeat, how do you respond? How do you react to that? And you know, a lot of people, I guess figuratively, they stay down and they never get back up and they give up. And you know, I mean, that's not the way we need to do life. We need to get back up when we get knocked down and keep fighting.
So when I was diagnosed with type 1, I was doubting myself quite a lot, and it was like I didn't understand anything, and I just wanted to give up like so much because I thought that I couldn't do all these things. Like I couldn't play football, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and so like I had that mindset of not being able to do anything. And so I wouldn't actually go and do stuff because I've been holding it back because of my diabetes. And then once I started doing something, like it opened my eyes to everything that I can actually do that stuff. And I've got like everyone around me to support me in doing that stuff. And I can do literally anything I want. Like diabetes is not going to stop me from doing anything.
That's awesome. That's man, that is the best attitude to have. And then, and just hearing that, Logan, I know that no matter what comes your way in life, whether, you know, hardships or whatever, I know you're going to get through it just because of that attitude that you have right there.
Thank you.
I could see Logan going a very long way. With what I've known from him the last year or two, he's always been that one to come up with these great ideas and always be the one to actually do them instead of only making the
Yeah.
idea. He goes along with it and completes what he's doing.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
I've always had the mindset to not, like, if I have an idea, I want to go do it straight away. Like, even at such a young age, I'll just, like, nothing's going to stop me. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, dude. And how many, you can go to a graveyard and there are so many great ideas that people there
Yeah.
never did because
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And to know that
Mm.
you're like, that whatever good idea you have, you're actually doing it. That is, man, you're a step, in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
Wow, both of you guys are so inspiring, honestly.
Thank you. It means a lot. You inspire us you inspire us so much, and that's the main reason why we got you on this podcast. And we wanted to ask you all these questions, and it's been great to speak to you and to know who you actually are and like everything about you.
I appreciate it, guys. I mean, I'm so humbled when I got the invite to be a guest on your podcast. It's it's humbling. It's like I keep looking at myself and I'm like, well, I'm not really that important, but it is an honor. I honestly mean that. I sincerely mean that.
So when me and Jack started to get the idea to do this, instantly came to my mind to get you on it. Like, no matter like how long it takes me to get you on it, I'm getting you on this podcast.
Yeah, I remember we was messaging each other back and forth. Who should we get on? And it was like an I don't know. And then Logan pops up with a message and goes, "Jack, I know who to get on." I go, "All right, who?" And he goes, "David Norec." Sends me your Instagram. I have a look through it, see the book and things about you, and I'm like, yes, we need to get him on.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Because I also watched, I think it was, it was something, the show, and I watched it, and that was like, man, I need to get him on. Like, because you like speak, like you don't stop talking, not in a rude way, but you don't stop, like you don't, like it don't end the flow with the talking or whatever. So it was just like, yeah, I needed to get you on.
That is cool. Thank you.
And to be honest, I'm quite surprised you did, because like how our age, but
No, you know what? And you, guys, don't ever let your age come between you and doing something. Because, like I said, you guys are, okay, you're young, but you guys are doing something that adults don't even, couldn't do or whatever. And no, anytime I get asked, I always make myself open to anybody and anything because I never want to see myself higher than what I really am. I have to humble myself and just be out there and be whatever I can to whoever needs something from me.
It's like you raised such a good point. It's like you have to go for every opportunity that comes your way. If you come up with this idea, that's a new opportunity, and you need to go for that.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't go to plan, it might not go to plan, but you can always come back from that and maybe make something better from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's like, people don't want to do stuff because they have the mindset, if that's not going to work straight away, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go through that like pain of and all that time and effort to go through it if it's not going to work. But obviously, if they do it and they put effort and time into it, then it will work. They just don't believe in themselves.
Wow. Amen to that, man. And I say that because I've been holding on to kind of like a video podcasting going on Facebook, but I've been scared to take that step to actually do it. But hearing what you just said, it's like I have no excuse now. I got to do it. And the first one's always the hardest to do, but
yeah,
you got to get it out there.
Yeah.
It's the same with this episode here. I was getting nervous to the build up to it, but once you just get flowing and talking, it's just amazing.
We was on call like before this podcast, and we were really nervous. We was excited but nervous, and we was having to go through everything and reword things and go through it all basically before we came on. And then we've came on, and yeah, we've gone with it, and It's gone
You
well.
guys have done awesome. You guys are a great team, honestly.
Thank you.
Thank
It means
you.
a lot. And that actually, like, when we joined, I was like, wow, he's so calm. I'm not like that. And I was worried about, like, if something does go wrong, but it doesn't really matter.
So I think the key
Yeah.
the key to things like this is confidence and self-belief that you can do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once you've joined and you've got into it, you need to have that confidence to keep going and just go with it and speak up when you can.
You have to
because
have
actually,
that. Go ahead.
So me and Jack, like, we've never spoken to each other. Well, obviously we have now, but so since this podcast, like, it was a couple of days ago, I sent him a voice message. That's the first ever time I've heard his voice, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, because we was messaging all week. We've been preparing for this, and we were sending back and forth messages. And I think I sent him a message about how do we pronounce our words and things, and go with it. And I get
No,
a
but you
voice
said
note
it, Jack. You said it about having that confidence. I was going to say having that Conor McGregor confidence,
back. Yeah.
that swag that he has.
In fact, Conor McGregor's fighting tonight.
He's fighting tonight. Yep.
Yeah, I'm probably
3
gonna.
a.m.
I might watch that. I don't know. Actually, 3 a.m. I'll be asleep by then. But
No,
yeah,
you guys have done an amazing job. Honestly, you guys have.
thank
We
you.
appreciate that. And obviously, we're not expecting this to be the best, because we know it's the first time, and this is obviously the first time me and Jack have actually, like, spoken to each other, and it's the first time we've had a guest on. But obviously, the more episodes we do, the more we're going to get used to it, and the more, like, it's going to get better and better.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So now, actually thinking about that, we are going to have you back on, David.
Anytime you guys want me on, I will be on. I will make time for you guys. I promise.
We appreciate that. And I was saying to Jack, the time zone actually helps, because obviously you're in the day when we're at night, and, like, it's so much better at night because obviously there's nobody, like, everything's calm, and then you're not asleep, so it's good. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you guys need me and it's the middle of the night over here, I'll get on with you guys. It'll be a pleasure, my honor.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to the Achievers podcast, and we will see you on the next episode.
Goodbye.
Bye.